gon' run it. Hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North talk.
Welcome to another edition of AFC North Talk. Here we are 1 week later, and then it finally happened. Aaron Rodgers was like, you know what? I'm bored of this. Let me just sign. We were talking about this, I think, last week. Aaron Rodgers was like, okay. I think it's time. Let me just do it. Let me just get it over with and be number 8 for, right? 8? Was that the number?
Yeah,
8 for the Steelers. Jared, how is the excitement for your Pittsburgh Steelers fan base?
I mean, I feel good about it. I'm happy to be done talking about it as if it, may or may not happen. We don't got to wonder about it anymore. So I'm excited for that to be done. Although every radio, podcast, TV spot I've done, I'm still talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers. But it's good. It's good now. It's good.
Oh, get ready, buddy. That's your whole year.
Yeah, and that's fine. As long as it's talking about him playing well and winning games, I don't care. I'll talk about that all day.
15% of what you do, even if you play well. I'm just telling you.
That's
man. I got George Sanders on my team. I'm just strapping in. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm like 15% football they're going to ask me about.
Brother, I don't care what he says on McAfee. I don't care what he says on Rogan. He can do whatever the hell he wants. I don't care. I'm just excited that he's officially here. Today, Cam Hayward had a charity golf event that he does every year, and Rodgers was there. There's a picture of him and DK Metcalf riding in a golf cart together and then being all smiles. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to talk myself into this. I'm going to be incredibly naive and set myself up to get hurt, and I'm ready for it. I'm completely ready. But like I said, I'm going to allow myself to believe that this could be a good year. And I think it will be a fine year. Like minimum, I think it'll be what they did last year. Maximum, I think they can win a playoff game, get to the divisional round, depending on how the playoff seed falls and whatnot. But I'm gonna enjoy this. I've said it plenty of times on this show and just about every other show that I've done or been on. Like, I like Aaron, long time been like an Aaron Rodgers fan, just really enjoy watching him play. And I'm happy that he's here for a year. And just looking forward to seeing what comes of it, and I'm just happy to be done talking about it in a what-if scenario.
Yeah, so that was the first news in the AFC North front. Then the next noise was Nick Chubb finding a home. That for me, I think it's a good team, right? Obviously, the Texans are a good team. The thing for me with the Texans is I always thought O-line, right? It's almost like what the Bengals did with Burrow, not now, but when Burrow got into the team, like the whole O-line. Well, they traded tons, so I'm like, okay, well, where are you gonna just push more people there? Well, let's sign Nick Chubb, which again, I think Nick Chubb still has football in him, but Joe Mixon was there. It looks like they're collecting AFC North running backs. But anyway, Q, what do you thought about that signing?
So, one, there's a fan in me. I wanted to see Nick Chubb retire as a Brown, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just happy that his career doesn't seem like it's going to fizzle out and he not signed somewhere and that's how his career ended. I wanted him to have a dignified end to his career, right? Kind of like Jamal Lewis after he left Baltimore, where he had those 2 years in Cleveland where he was and then, it was over. But it was still okay, respectable ending to your career. How effective Nick Chubb's going to be, I tend to want to believe that he's going to be able to play well. But that's really a lot of my belief, right? The hard evidence on the field does not look great for Nick Chubb. We could talk about whatever you think of Andrew Berry's track record in the draft, right? Because I don't think it's very strong as of now. But he has a pretty strong pro personnel track record, right? When they were all right, man, there's not really much to burn here with Odell. It's not like they were wrong on that one, right? He was done being an elite player at that time. Same thing can be said with Amari Cooper, right? Where they got rid of him. People thought it was a little early and they were right on time with it. He tends to have a good clock on this kind of stuff, which makes me even sadder about it. Nick Chubb, his career should have lasted longer than it has, but that's playing running back for you, right? Like it just goes quickly. He's landing in Houston. That's an interesting team. I don't think Houston's like the quagmire of football teams. And I don't mean the Family Guy character. I just mean like they're not as good as people think they're gonna be, but they're not as bad as people think they're gonna be. Like they're like the quintessential. They'll get an easy draw in the first round of the playoffs and then like win a game, and people are like, "Oh my God, is Houston for real?" And then they get smacked by a real team, right? Like they're in that in between tier. They're above of what Pittsburgh's been, which like automatic, them. Miami first round bounce. You're not even really thinking about Denver. Yeah, they're out of there one round. But like they're still well below Buffalo, Baltimore, and Kansas City and teams you expect to actually make something shake there. But if he gets to play in a playoff game, win another one, that'd be cool. My real question for the Browns is we've been talking a lot about how the Browns are going to switch to running the ball more. And I think on the surface, everybody here can agree that sounds like a pretty good strategy for the Cleveland Browns, right? Like, I think we're all in agreement. Running the ball more makes sense. And I'm not really opposed to what they've done with their offensive line. My big question with the Browns is if we're going to run the ball 500 times, where are those carries going to go amongst the running backs that are on the roster? Jerome Ford is a 100 carry maximum guy. Like we gave him 200 carries a couple of years ago, horribly inefficient with 200 carries. You give him 100 carries, he's pretty decent, right? 5 yards to carry, pretty good production, same amount of touchdowns. He's kind of Tobias Harris running back territory where you got to just keep him in a certain touch range. I think Quinshon Judkins, we're all in agreement, definitely getting 200 carries.
Yeah.
You draft the guy in the second round, he's going to start. He's NFL ready size, 225 pounds, 5'11", 6 foot. That guy can get 200 carries day one, year one. That makes sense here, right? Anything above 200 starts to get a little dicey for a rookie, but 200 is a pretty good number for him. So that's what 300 carries right there. Right, Browns don't have a mobile quarterback taking up 80 or 140 carries like the Ravens do, right? So
the other rook, right?
Yeah, Dylan Sampson. Well, he's a 4th round rookie. He's 5'8". He's 200 pounds. Am I going to sit here and be like, yeah, that guy, we're going to pencil in for 200 carries or 150? You're probably saying to yourself 60 to 80, maybe 100 if he like really shows you something in preseason. And we don't even know if we're really going to want to give 200 carries to Quinshon in year one because he might not be ready. Right? Once the pads come on, it might be a longer adjustment than you assume. And that's my big concern is like we are leaning a lot on 2 rookies to maintain this run game. And I know people have these running backs don't matter theories and all of that, but I do think there is something to having a body in the room that has done that before. And I thought Nick Chubb would have been able to provide that for this team. He would have given you a safety valve, right? If these guys are ready, then Nick Chubb can take a step back, get 120 carries, and then go on with your day. If, Nick Chubb is still good and these guys aren't ready, you give them 300 carries and you can move on business as usual. That's my big concern when I look at the Browns running back room is I am not confident that we have 500 carries worth of running back in that room. And we're in a situation where we just going to have to find out during training camp if we got it and hope that we do. But right now we're looking at a room with Dylan Sampson, who I like, Quinshon Judkins, who I like, but both rookies, Jerome Ford, who's a limited carry running back, and Pierre Strong, who I do not like. So
Pierre Strong.
Yeah, that's the only 4 running backs on the roster right now, other than like an undrafted rookie. So who's going to be fulfilling these carries for running the ball being as important as it's going to be to this offense? And they have made some significant investments, a 2nd and a 4th round pick. What's going to be able to hold that together? Because right now I'm thinking they think it's Jerome Ford, and I just don't think that's a sufficient answer. Especially given that you want to get ahead of the sticks this year with how you're going to play offense. So that's the big question for the Browns is, okay, no Nick Chubb. I understand. He's older. He didn't look great last year. He hasn't looked great in these offseason videos. Cool. I get why you don't want to bring him back, even though I disagree. The question is like, okay, what do we do with this running back load? Because, like, do we really feel like this is a good idea to just go into camp with nobody there who's taken over 100 carries successfully in their NFL career on that roster right now, because that's kind of what we're looking at, and I just don't find that to be sufficient, especially because this is the team's strength on offense, right? Or what they want their strength to be on offense, what they want their identity to be. If this were like wide receiver, I could care less about the Browns wide receiver room because that's not what they're going to focus on a ton. But this is their stated identity of the football team. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey, this is what you want your identity to be. Then you might want to go out and see if J.K. Dobbins' knee still work or something like that.
He got signed.
Yeah, he got signed. I don't know who else is out there. Was Gus Edwards? Gus
is out there. Yeah, I think Gus.
You got him. You might want to go knock on some doors and see what you got there, because I just am not loving that we're basically hinging the identity of the team on draft picks at this point. Maybe if we were deeper into camp and I got to see these guys, I would feel more confident. But it just feels like a lot to hinge on, especially Quinshawn 200 carries. I don't think that's a big deal, but the Dylan Sampson, we might ask him for 150 to 200 carries thing is crazy to me right now, because there's no way you can know if he's ready right now.
And then last story we had in the AFC North, Germaine Pratt. And I see some Bengals fans forgetting how Pratt had some very big moments. Obviously, I'm more of a Wilson guy since coming out of that draft. I forgot what year it was.
Somebody clip that and then cut that to a conversation we're having about Roquan Smith.
Oh my god! If you've been following the show, you know I've been a Wilson fan forever. But Germaine Pratt is sneakily underappreciated as a Bengal, as a linebacker in general. I think he has. Obviously, I remember the play we don't want to talk about, the ace. Go ahead.
Yeah, I made Germaine Pratt the fumble in the jungle. He was a big part of that. The Derek Carr interception.
Yeah,
that was Germaine that forced the fumble. It was Germaine.
Wow.
People remember what was it? The guy that picked it up. He just retired. Hubbard.
What we remember is Mark Andrews getting outran by Sam Hubbard. That's
so, but people forget that the one that provoked the fumble.
Yeah. Germaine Pratt is an underappreciated, I think, person. I think, especially by the Bengals fan base. I think, like you said, you spoke to, Sonny, the fan base is a little, I wouldn't say divided, because I think the majority of people are kind of on the side of it's Germaine Pratt's time to go, right? And where that came from was last year. There were times that on the field he looked a step slower. He had some missed tackles, which not only him, it was a lot of the Bengals defense that had missed tackles. And that was one of the points that I always kind of brought up was, hey, it's not just Germaine Pratt with this issue. There's a lot of other guys having this issue as well. He did, however, for as much as Bengals fans tried to kind of flame him a little bit last year, he was top 10 in the NFL in tackles. He was in a situation where you kind of mentioned Logan Wilson. He went down. He took on more responsibility, and he kind of took a lot of the blame for the defense. And I feel like, in a sense, that was a little bit unfair because there were things out of his control. A lot of people didn't agree with Lou's scheme, so I felt like that played a role. But a lot of Bengals fans just felt like it was time for them to move on and get more athletic at the position, especially when you're going against guys like Lamar Jackson and guys with speed. They just felt like the speed wasn't there anymore. They felt like whenever you put any linebacker on a wide receiver, unless it's Fred Warner, they're getting cooked. But, a lot of people just felt like any kind of time that he was in coverage, he was barbecue chicken. And they felt like it was time. And I think we saw the writing on the wall, especially when the Bengals drafted Demetrius Knight in the second round, Barrett Carter after that. So it was like, oh, he's definitely gone for sure. Because at this point, he had requested a trade in the offseason. To me, I personally feel like, and I don't know this for sure because I don't talk to Germaine. He's liked a lot of my tweets. A lot of my tweets were talking about how he still was top 10 in tackles and stuff like that. I think he kind of felt like the fan base turned on him and he was kind of frustrated after this was a guy that when he signed here with his extension, a lot of people forget he took less money to stay with the Bengals. There were other teams on the market that wanted to pay Germaine Pratt more money. He believed in loyalty, and he said, you know what, I'm going to take less to stay here and play for the Bengals. And it just didn't go according to plan, right? Like, they had this situation where Joseph Osai makes the mistake. Germaine Pratt is the first guy, and this is before he came back, where he was like, man, how are you going to do that? They caught him on camera bad-mouthing his teammate, right? Yeah. So a lot of people thought Germaine Pratt was going to be gone from that standpoint, came back, just didn't work out. And I think another factor in this, and this is something to keep an eye on, is the Bengals are saving about $5 million with this moving on from Pratt. A lot of people feel like that's tied into the Trey Hendrickson situation. Trey Hendrickson tweeted on a story like a salute to Germaine Pratt, but a lot of people are wondering, like, does this mean that this money is getting used towards a Trey Hendrickson deal from that standpoint? So that's something to keep an eye on. A lot of people were wondering why they took this long to do it, because obviously the draft's been over. A lot of people expected this move to come earlier.
Yep.
So the timing of it was a little weird. Some people were even implying like, oh, the Bengals are trying to use this as a negotiation tactic against Trey Hendrickson. If they hold on to Pratt, Hendrickson can't say that they have $5 million somewhere else. Well, now we're at where we're at. I still think Germaine Pratt is a fine player. I think, honestly, this is just me personally. I'm in the minority of Bengals fans here when I say this. They are going to miss Germaine Pratt a lot more than Bengals fans think that they are. Like, I think what he brought to the position with him and Logan Wilson, there was a lot of stability there. Before that, it got really bad. Those years between that draft class that was the year before was Pratt, 2019. Then you had Logan Wilson and ADG. The Bengals were garbage at linebacker between that time and Vontaze Burfict. There was just nobody there that really was able to add stability. It started with Pratt and Wilson. Now you no longer have that. Hopefully they feel like Demetrius Knight is a guy that can step in and fill those shoes. But I think if Pratt goes to another team, he's going to be a really good linebacker for someone else. And I think the biggest thing, like you said, Sonny, the thing that I remember the most about Germaine Pratt is he always made the plays when you needed him. I think about the Kelsey fumble that he forced in that game with the battles that they had against the Chiefs. I think about the fumble that he forced against Dalton Kincaid against the Bills games. Like, he always made that play when you needed it in the big moment. And whether it was an interception, whether it was a fumble, a lot of people did feel like last year he was caught up in that. Like, he wanted to make a play every time where he's trying to strip the fumble and it leads to a missed tackle or something like that. But I think if you put Germaine Pratt on another team, you're going to get a really good player. And I think I saw today, I was kind of surprised the way that the rest of the league viewed him. There is a lot of interest, it seems like, at least if I'm going off of Twitter, in Germaine Pratt. I've seen different teams like saying we should go after him and stuff like that. I think that he's got a lot of time left. I keep an eye on the Colts just because he kind of puts out – Germaine Pratt does this thing where he puts out tweets, and he's either tweeting out lyrics or he's tweeting out emojis, and no one knows what he's talking about. And when Lou Anarumo got the job with the Colts, he retweeted it and put like a little blood drop or put something on it. So a lot of people feel like he could be going there. We'll see where he ends up. I have nothing but good things to say about Germaine Pratt. I remember being in the stadium when he picked off Derek Carr to give the Bengals their first playoff win in like 30 years. So for me, I would never have anything bad to say about Germaine Pratt. I think that he was a good Bengal, and I think that he'll be missed.
You know, it's interesting, both what the Browns and the Bengals getting rid of two guys whose positions kind of have that same stigma on it, because as much as running backs, you know, people go, oh, 30, you got to get rid of them. That's something that I think happens more rapidly with linebackers, where it's like somebody like Shaq Leonard went from like, oh, he should be defensive player of the year to, dog, have you heard of Shaq Leonard like in the last 2 years? Like,
that was crazy.
Yeah, it was like it was Darius Leonard, then Shaq Leonard, and then we didn't hear about Shaq Leonard no more after like 1 year.
After the name changed, when the name changed, did it?
He went to like 3 teams and 2, and it's like it happens a lot with linebackers where like once it goes. And I wonder if that's something the Bengals feel like they're getting ahead of here, right? Like, I'm always cautious with running backs and linebackers to be like, oh, yeah, let's jump on, because those are the two positions where it's like the name value don't really save you, right? Like, even like I think the running back equivalent to some of this stuff is like Dalvin Cook, who's like a beast. and then like was not like just
like that.
Like it was like, oh, he's done. Like it's over with. He had one inefficient season and over 1,000 yards, and then it's just like all the way done for, right? So, you know, when you aren't one of those superstar guys, getting at 30 at those two positions, it is one of those things where it's like, okay, is this just going to be one of where this is it for Germaine Pratt? Like for what we know, he's going to end up like Arizona's practice squad in 2 years, you know, which I don't hope for, obviously, but you know, it happens so fast at that position.
By the way,
reunion with Lou in a room, it makes a lot of sense. Putting him in a room with Zaire Franklin, I think that would be, make the unit deeper at the absolute minimum. And I think that even if he's not an every down linebacker anymore, I mean, giving him some sort of role would make sense. And going back to Lou, I think that's a good team to circle.
The other thing I forgot to mention real quick, Sonny, is
go ahead.
You know, the Bengals bringing in the defensive coordinator that they did. He was also the linebacker coach the year of the Super Bowl and the year when Germaine Pratt was going into his contract year. And Germaine Pratt was pretty vocal about his displeasure being taken off the field during that time. He was like, this is my contract year. I need to be on the field for these passing downs. So they didn't really like each other. So a lot of people kind of knew, like, once we got him as a defensive coordinator, they had an issue in the past. So not too much of a surprise from that standpoint, before I forget to mention that as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying, more for Bengals fan, like, I was just surprised the reaction, right? Because as soon as the draft happened, we knew this was going to happen, right? But the fan base almost acted like this guy was garbage for us, which he wasn't great last year. I get that. But he gave you a lot of good years, so I was surprised.
Bengals fans do that too. And if you have one bad year, dog, they went in on AJ Green. If you have one bad year with the Bengals, the fan base. But
my point is, I understand them dogpiling on him during the year, but now when he gets cut, like, I would have thought,
I would say I've seen a lot of people celebrating the plays that he's made. I've only seen, now I did hear one of the loud voices for the Bengals, one of the notable people, say that he wasn't good anymore because he felt like a lot of people were making it seem like Germaine Pratt was like an all-pro level player or something like that. So he took a shot at him, but I haven't seen too many on my timeline like talking bad about him. A lot of them are just reminiscing on the plays.
I'll just say, I don't know who said that, but that sounds like some hating shit right there. Like, you just like, oh, people just being too nice to him after he got fired. Damn, he got fired. Like, let people be nice about him for like 2 seconds. They'll come back to earth like a week later. Yeah. Like, that's what's going on with Nick Chubb right now. Where we're like, oh, he might still get 2K. I mean, he ain't looked that great last year, but you know, I hope he does. Like, ain't no reason to dog him now. Like, would you need to correct the record on Germaine Pratt? Like, is that the biggest issue in front of us right now?
Okay, so that's it. That's the update for the week on the AFC North. Now let's talk about this ranking for the cornerback position.
Oh boy,
Jared, I'll let you start. Who is your number 4 in the AFC North? This cornerback.
That's probably got to be Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, Cincy. Okay.
Like I
feel so bad because this is like the 3rd time we've been like, I don't
know. I know, and I hate it. But like
Cincy.
and I would love to say another team in the division rather than the Bengals, but Cam Taylor Britt. I don't know, man. Like, he has his moments, like where he looks awesome, but he also has some issues where he'll, just go on a little bit of a down streak. DJ Turner on the other side. I mean, they're really hoping for big things from him. Obviously, they're hoping for that last year once Chidobe Awuzie left. I don't like saying that the Bengals stink everywhere on defense because I would love to say that the Ravens are the worst, but that's obviously not the case. But again, I think Taylor Britt, like, despite inconsistencies last year, is still like a solid number 1 cornerback for a team, but he needs to have a nice bounce back year where there's more consistencies. Playing back to that like 2022 year where, he really established himself, or 2023 year. So I do think that they are the worst right now. Would like to be proven wrong throughout the year and, see a few other teams maybe take a step back, preferably one in Maryland. I don't foresee that taking place though. But they need more out of Cam Taylor-Britt this year. They need more out of DJ Turner. And for that reason, they are currently 4th.
Q.
Yeah, I gotta put Cincy here at 4. I gotta do it. I gotta do it because at least every other team has at least one corner. I'm like, yeah, okay, they got him right. Cincy, I don't feel that way about any of their DBs. The depth, let me look at their depth real quick. Is what Dax Hill's your nickel? Is that correct? Is that just ESPN?
I thought he was
Dax is either
right?
going to be outside corner or nickel. They don't know yet because he's coming back. He's actually going to be back next week from the injury.
So it's like DJ turn him around and then Cam Taylor-Britt. Yeah, I just echo everything Jared said about that room, man. We don't got to make this last much longer. Like, honestly,
I mean, Ace, would you be open? Like, Jair Alexander's available now. Like that, might as well try something.
It's open for
at least this room has scalability to it, right? These are young guys who could end up playing better. This room could be much better than it is. But if we're just judging based on what we've seen so far, it kind of is what it is with them, right? Like, I think that's Cincy's biggest problem. Is just I can't really project them to be better than some of these other rooms because I'm not like the biggest fan of these corners. But at least they're young. They can get better. They can surprise us. There's room for scalability there. And if they're good, then they'd be cheap too, right, on rookie deals. So, which is becoming increasingly more important at the corner position. But yeah, not a huge fan of any of these corners. I mean, Dax Hill, I don't know what they've been trying to do with him for like the last few years.
I mean, hey, maybe they're the team that trades for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, and then like Cam Taylor-Britt, like it's funny because like some weeks you'll listen to Bengals Twitter and you're like, he's good. And then like you just listen to Bengals Twitter like another month and it's like Cam Taylor booty. Like it's constant back and forth. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Ace?
Yeah, I'm actually not putting the Bengals here. The reason why I think is I think the thing with Dax Hill is the Bengals did exercise his 5th-year option for a reason. The transition to outside corner looked very promising last year. He actually was starting with Cam Taylor-Britt. Then because of the injury, DJ Turner got pushed in there. They had Mike Hilton in the slot. Right. I think from the Bengals aspect, Cam Taylor-Britt did have one good season. I think he took a step back last year. But when I looked at the PFF grades, PFF still had Cam Taylor-Britt as a pretty good corner. He was a 63.6 overall. He was 64.6 in coverage. If you don't know what that means, in terms of the colors, he was in the green. Dax Hill was a 68. He was pretty good from that standpoint. He was a 68. DJ Turner was a 67. There were a lot of people saying that DJ Turner with Cam Taylor-Britt struggles last year, was the best corner in the room, but obviously he also got hurt there as well. Now, the other guy, that's the reason why the Bengals didn't keep Mike Hilton, even though I felt like you could argue last year that Mike Hilton, not in coverage, but just at the cornerback position, was one of their best corners, is Josh Newton. And Josh Newton was a guy that they drafted out of TCU last year. He got some time in there. I believe he had an interception. He was pretty solid. And some people are penciling him in possibly as the nickel guy there. The other thing here is that the coverage scheme itself is going to change. A lot of last year, they played a lot of zone. A lot of the players were lost in zone. They're going to be playing a lot more man this year. I think the upside that they have is there. And the team that I'm putting forth is the Steelers. And the reason that I'm putting the Steelers there is, yes, Darius Slay is a household name. I love it. I don't think he's big play Slay anymore. He's 34 years old. He's turning 35 coming into this season. You got Joey Porter Jr. there, who I think is honestly – I think you could interchange him and Cam Taylor-Britt. I don't know if that, like, you can say one is much more better than the other. But when I get to Beanie Bishop, that's where I have a fall off in the depth. And that's where I'm like, I'm not so sure that the 3 corners for the Steelers would be better. Now, if Darius Slay was younger, it's easily Pittsburgh. But we were just talking about age. We were just talking about the running back position, the linebacker position. Cornerback is not a old man's position. Like, usually when you have an older corner, you kind of want to slide them to the safety position because it's harder for them to keep up with the Jamar Chases and the T. Higgins of the world at this age. I wonder if he can do that. Now, I've seen it before with Terrence Newman, but like I've said, I don't really see corners over the age of 33, 34 really being still shut down corners. I like what they have in Joey Porter Jr. I don't like what they have in the rest of the room.
What do you make of Mike Tomlin being able to get away with like pretty much the same thing Darius Slay is this year, where he has a veteran cooked wide receiver with a big name value in there, right? Like it's been since what, Joe Hayden last year was
Patrick Peter. I don't
Dante Jackson last year. I mean, they've done this whole veteran plug thing with CB2 for a while because they did it with Akello Weatherspoon for a year, Patrick Peterson,
somebody before Joe.
I just don't know if Joe Hayden was Joe
cornerback before Joe.
Was Joe Hayden 34?
I mean,
30s. Look, I'll say this about Slay though. Like, yeah, he's older. He still played well in the role that they had him play last year. We'll see how that goes at CB2 because I think we'll get a little bit more snaps than he did down the stretch with the Eagles when it was Quinion Mitchell, DeJean. Like they made him more of like the, I don't know, CB2B. But still played well in that role. The nickel spot, that is a fair concern. I think they're going to try Brandon Eccles at that spot a little bit too, who came over from the Jets. So we'll see what that looks like. Corey Trice as well, who looked really promising in the beginning of the year, had an interception against Denver, got injured. But that's a guy who they've been high on, but Omar Khan even said at the combine, they're bringing in corners because he needs to stay healthy. So a little bit of like injury concern with him. I think as a whole, the Steelers cornerback room is better than what it was a year ago because Dante Jackson, like he had 5 interceptions, but my goodness, man, like there were games where he was just brutal. So getting Darius Slay in there at CB2, that's an upgrade. We'll see at the nickel spot, but it does appear that Beanie Bishop's going to be in the driver's seat for that. They tried Cam Sutton after he got back from suspension last year, and he was bad. So I do think it'll be Beanie Bishop and Brandon Eccles going at it for the nickel spot. But I'm confident in Joey Porter. I think he's a good starting corner. I think Darius Slay can give you a year of good play.
Is Pittsburgh your 3?
What's that?
Yeah, I was going to say, is Pittsburgh your 3?
Yeah, they're probably going to be my 3.
Right, so
I got my piece out of the way when it comes to them. Yeah, for all those reasons, I can't put them over Cleveland or Baltimore because Cleveland and Baltimore are I think Cleveland is awesome. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Steelers will be my 3.
So let me go super chat and I'll get my take here real quick. So
3 and 4.
Nova Stone says Tom Brady won 2 Super Bowls and 2 times more than Aaron Rodgers' career.
Oh, that's how we got to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You know what? I just got to applaud. Like, I don't know if Stone tried to lie to us and act like he wasn't the Ravens Tom Brady jersey guy last year, but come on, y'all. Come on, man.
He has to be.
Definitely has to be him. Definitely has to be.
I haven't met anybody here in Baltimore that's a Ravens fan and a Tom Brady fan.
Tom Brady is in the booth, and we're still getting Tom Brady super chats. He's in the booth.
Yeah. If you want to beat the allegations, Nova Stone, I need you to record a video saying I am Nova Stone 12, and I am definitely not the guy from the Tom Brady video, and send it to one of our hosts' DMs. Because until then, you are guilty as charged.
That was definitely Nova Stone.
That was 100%. No, who would do that?
Who else would make a Brady Ravens jersey?
That's
unless like you're a diabolical Steelers hater, right? Which like is possible. That is like I love Tom Brady because he fucks the Steelers over every year. Like maybe that's what's going on there. But he's also fucked you over. Like that's where I can't get with it.
He did everybody. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's gotten everybody that mattered at that time. He never got the Browns, but that's because we sucked.
So look, I do have the Bengals here. The biggest problem that I have with the Bengals, I hear you, Q, saying that the guys are young and all this, but we're not talking about rookies here.
Oh, come on. I put them at 4.
I know, but when you were saying that they're young, I got
they
you.
They are young. They are
I
young.
got you. Yeah. They are young.
So they just don't believe.
But they're not rookies either. Like, I get past to the first year, right? But in the second year, I need to see progression. And my biggest look, I'm a big fan of Taylor Briggs because, oh my God, my boy likes to talk and motivate the other team. He will fire up, in my opinion, the whoever the best side of the other team is. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna talk trash to you. And I'm like, Bengals defense ain't that good for you to talking all this smack. What are you doing? So he would definitely get the other team fired up.
Talk smack in practice.
I mean,
Yeah, Cam Taylor-Britt is a talker. He's gonna talk.
If he be out
He's
there
gonna
talking
talk.
to Jamar Chase, and I know
he's talking to Chase.
Yeah.
He's talking to Higgins. He's talking to everybody.
Yeah. So anyway,
Bro,
this
Jamar Chase is just a constant game of just praying that the quarterback throws a bad football.
What the thing with the Bengals, what they do have is they have the endless potential still. Meaning, Taylor-Britt coming out of the draft, we liked him. We thought he could be good. Dax Hill out of the draft, we like him. We thought he could be good. Turner out of the draft from Michigan, also we liked him. We thought he could be good. But none of these guys have put it together, right? Hey, not to, I don't want to say that I'm trying to praise him too much, but in my opinion, Nate Wiggins already in the first year had a better season than this guy's had.
Then Cam Taylor-Britt?
Yeah. Yes.
No, that's a stretch.
Yes.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch. That's a stretch, Sonny.
I'm Team Ace here.
Stand on it, Sonny. I want to hear you. Come on, Sonny.
I gotta hear this.
This to be true.
I need to pull the stats, but
you did see the game where he shut down Metcalf, right? You did see that game,
okay.
And he also gets interceptions.
Now,
a lot of interceptions.
Stuff DK Metcalf too.
I'm not the biggest DK Metcalf guy.
Can you
Sorry,
do it
Jerry.
2 times a year though? Hold on, we not going.
I think, look, at the end of the day, like I said, I think the 3 guys, those specific 3, do have the potential, but they have had the potential last year. And they had the potential the year before. But the year before, that was Turner's rookie year, I think. But anyway,
I think DJ Turner has been solid, though. I think DJ Turner, out of all of them, he's been solid and he's been there. He's just like, my thing is, I think we just got a room full of cornerback 2s. I don't think we have a cornerback 1. I don't think we have an alpha guy out there that's like, I'm the shutdown corner guy. So I think we got a room full of cornerback 2s.
So, and then with that being said, I do have the Steelers at 3. In the case of the Steelers, I am a little higher on Slay.
Oh, I know. I bet you are. Raven.
I am a little higher on Slay, but the thing, and I will see if this changes during the year, will be great. But Joey Porter Jr., I need to see him being consistent without being grabby, right? And that's the thing. In my opinion, Joey Porter Jr., if it is a game that they allow contact, which is my favorite game, by the way, it's how I wish all the games were. So in my book, if those were the type of games all the time, Joey Porter would be a fantastic corner. And again, that's the type of football that I would like the league to allow more.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moment he gets a ref crew that does not allow to be grabby, then he becomes from a really good corner to a possible liability at that moment, because in my opinion, that's how he likes to play. And I think this is a problem in the league, because the league allows that for most of the year and then turns around to a guy, to Joey Porter Jr. and says like, nah, not in this game, right? Or not in the playoffs. I think that's BS, personally. It's the same thing with the NBA. I wish the NBA was like this type of basketball during the playoffs, right? So guys like Harden, they're used to getting the free throw, gets to the playoffs and not getting as much.
I feel like the other way around is a lot more acceptable than like what happens in the NFL, where it's like game by game, they might allow it even in the playoffs. Like if you know going into it, hey man, they're going to allow more contact in the playoffs than they are in the regular season. I think you can prepare for that.
Yeah.
But like, and I think that's fine. Why it's fine.
But the NFL is crew by crew.
I get why you wouldn't want players to play like that in the NBA, 82 games, because then nobody gets to the regular season healthy, right? Like, especially with how things are now. But I think, I get your point there, though. I wish there was more consistency with how the NFL chose to enforce OPI and DPI. Because they never call OPI, so it's like if we just gonna let people fucking wrestle, like let's let them wrestle for the ball. But it's wildly
inconsistent, Sonny. I wouldn't even say you could say it's the regular season and then the postseason. I think it's
crew by
week.
It's crew by crew.
Week by week. You don't know who's gonna call what.
If it was consistent, like, hey, in the regular season they're going to call that, but in the playoffs they might let that go, I think that would be fine. But if the fact that it's like, hey, week 8 they let all kind of shit go down with this crew, but then like they call ticky tack in the wild card round, and what I think is the harmful part of that is if you're the Steelers, how do you coach Joey Porter Jr., right? Because you don't want him to give up.
Well, for starters, he's wearing black gloves now, so there's that. That's not even a joke. He wore yellow gloves first 2 years. He's wearing black gloves now.
Yeah, black gloves is like what you just got to teach him how to get away with it more. And then I think there's a spectrum of it with Joey Porter Jr. because like if you get those penalties, I think teams are willing to live with it as long as you get it back, right, in some way, shape, or form, right? As long as you're high in pass deflections. Like Marcus Peters is a great example. Marcus Peters is going to get you burnt 2 times. Like, like if he plays 100 snaps, 2 of them snaps, he's going to give up something big. But Marcus Peters is going to get 100 snaps and probably like 3 interceptions, right? Well, that's a little high. An interception and like 3 or 4 pass breakups that are pretty impressive in his best day. And I think that's what makes it worth it. The question with Joey Porter Jr., he's already a good corner, is will he be so damn good you don't even care about the holding anymore, which has been where he's at. He's at that threshold where he's like, he's pretty good. He's not good enough to hold as much as he holds. And I think, I don't know if you can address the holds. I think you can address if he's a better corner. And I think if he just plays better, I think people would care less about the holds, but he's right there at that level where you notice it.
Yeah, and a lot of the I think like 99% of his penalties came in like 3 different games. So like it just depends on
what depends on the crew. That's our. And this is like I said, Jerry. The frustrating. This is why I cannot even kill Joey Porter Jr. because if for you're saying it's 3 out of 17.
Was there any question that the kid of Joey Porter was going to be this kind of corner?
Like a tough guy? No. So we're talking that he gets a 3/4 of a season where he gets allowed to be physical and contact with the player. It's gonna be hard to adjust. So you're getting most of your games like that. This is my problem. It's a league problem, but
or strategically hold. Hey man, Jamar Chase start opening up pass you. Tug that shit. You know what I mean? Get him before that ball come out. It's a hold. It's only 5 yards at that point.
True.
Like,
That is true.
Like as long as he's strategic with it, right? Like I think that's the best thing is like don't get him on 3rd and fucking 15, right? Where you're basically off the field. But if you're getting these holding penalties on 1st and 10, like okay, who cares, right? Like it's not really a big deal. Or if you're doing it to prevent a touchdown, like on a Monday, then okay, just I think that's what they're gonna focus him on is just like, hey man, we don't really care if you're holding, but like there are certain situations where we just need you to play it safe.
So that to close that argument, I think if he cleans that a little bit, or he can adjust depending on the crew, because I know the Ravens do this. I can only assume the Steelers do this. Harbaugh, day 1 of the weeks, this is the crew, right? And this is the flags and all that they like to call, so they can adjust a little bit, right? I think, in my opinion, that Joey Porter Jr. could be the best corner in this division if he cleans that up. When I see him playing, when he's on his game, I think he's nasty. I think
he's the best corner in the AFC North?
No, I didn't say he's the best.
He could be in the future, or like could be if he puts it together in this year.
I think if he finds a way to stop with the holding, like he can be consistently, which it's a big thing because since college he's been like this, right? This is not an easy task for a guy. So I don't think this is something he can clean a year.
It's annoying too because Sauce Gardner does the same shit and never gets flagged for it. And
I agree.
Annoying.
Sauce does the same thing. Sauce does so I don't know if Sauce does more.
You got to start wearing a chain and start referring to himself in 3rd person.
There you go. There you go. Maybe that's what Joey has to do. Anyway,
that's how you convince the refs you're better than you are. You deserve these calls. I got platinum on my neck.
That's funny.
They got Shane.
So anyway. do we all have the Steelers at 3?
No. Ace, you don't have them on 3 because you put them on 4.
Oh yeah, sorry. My apologies.
Okay.
So am I going? I kind of already went with. I guess
you already went. You already
went. Ready to reveal top 2s?
I guess so.
Do you had your 3 too? You already talked about it, right? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Jerry. You can do 2.
2. I'm gonna put Baltimore at 2. Marlon Humphrey's doing a lot of heavy lifting here. And I'm tempted, as the hater I am, to move them down because we have we'll see with Chidobe Awuzie, who didn't have the best year last year in Tennessee. But Humphrey's awesome. Made a seamless transition
over there.
Yeah, you got Cheeto, man.
Yeah.
Nah,
Of course they get
that ain't Cheeto.
down.
That ain't the same Cheeto. That ain't the
It's
same
not-
Cheeto. Q. That ain't the same one.
So we'll see. If any,
in the Ravens uniform, you know how they do.
yeah. Well, so we'll see. But I mean, obviously Humphrey's awesome. Made a seamless transition to being the nickel and was an All-Pro doing it. Nate Wiggins, solid boundary corner. He's going to be asked to do a lot of the heavy lifting though with an aging guy like Owuzie over there. So I'll put them at 2. Yeah, what's up, Q?
Do we count? Where are we putting Kyle Hamilton then?
He's a safety.
So last year he played mostly safety. Right?
We're gonna
Last
do
year-
this again, Q.
Yeah.
It matters.
I mean, he
understand.
started the year in like the nickel spot, but then they moved Marlon like strictly there, and
Yeah.
that's why the pass defense got a lot better down the stretch.
The
So
thing-
I
the thing
would
with
say
Kyle-
keep Kyle at
So
safety
Kyle's
and
gonna be in
Marlon's
the
the nickel.
safety conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So
I just don't want it to be something where we account for him in some people's rankings, and then some
Right.
people don't account for him. All right.
so yeah, Baltimore's my 2.
Q.
I have Cleveland there too, actually. What I like about Cleveland's room, we have Denzel Ward, right? And I think Denzel Ward undoubtedly best corner in this division. You might be able to debate Marlon Humphrey with it. Denzel Ward's the only corner that like Jamar Chase thinks about in this division. Like, you know what I mean? Like we've seen Jamar get what Jamar get on Marlon one time? What, like 250?
266.
Yeah,
Yep.
266. That ain't happening to Denzel.
So the old argument of Jamar's not laying awake being like, oh god damn it, I got Nate Wiggins opposite of me tomorrow.
Hey, look, if you ask Jamar Chase to rank who's the best corner in the division, I know who Jamar Chase is putting at number 1. And it definitely is not Marlon Humphrey, right? Like, you know, there's no disrespect to Hump. He's a really good corner, but they moved him to slot too because he has his limitations physically nowadays, but he worked out great in that spot. Denzel, best boundary corner in the division, right? The issue with Denzel is he's going to miss a couple of games a year, but that's really been reduced over the last few years. The big turning point for the Cleveland Browns is Martin Emerson. Which Martin Emerson are we getting this year, right? Like, are we getting Martin Emerson that showed up last year? It was like straight up awful for whatever reason. Or are we getting the Martin Emerson that showed up the last 2 years who might not be the most flexible when it comes to opening his hips and fluid corner in the NFL, but is a really physical one and can make plays on the ball consistently. Like, if you get that Martin Emerson back with a healthy Denzel Ward, this will be the best secondary in football. One of the best secondaries in football. But if you don't have that, then there's some real issues that start to come up because now who's behind Martin? Tony Brown? Like, you know, it's not really like a amazing list of DBs behind him. We got Nick Needham on the roster. I just figured that out today.
Which member of Tony is Tony Brown?
Tony Brown the second. I think he played for the Colts for a while. So yeah, he has a perm too. I just don't.
Oh Lord,
yeah, I don't.
That's incredible.
Dog. Yeah, he calls himself Apex. That guy's getting cooked, right? Like that is prototypical getting cooked number 2. Overconfident, talks too much shit, thinks too highly of himself. Speaking of, we have Greg Newsome, who is much better than Tony Brown, but does fit some of the similar archetypes of it. And here's the thing with Greg, man. Greg can do everything you want a corner to do except run left to right. I don't know what it is, right? But you get him going across the field, he's burnt every time. I think that's more or less on the coaching staff, on the front office staff to get some linebackers who can carry the seam a little bit better in there. And that's why they got Carson Schlesinger. They brought in Jerome Baker, right? They tried to address that. So I think he will look a lot better because he's not going to have to cut in on those in-breaking routes a ton. He's a fine corner, and if Denzel goes down, he's a pretty good replacement for Denzel. Like the top 3 of Cleveland's cornerback room, I feel really good about. Cam Mitchell's fine. It's everything else after that, right? Like we're talking about, you know, some really unimpressive names behind Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson on this depth chart that would have to play if there was something going down. Slot, I think they have decent depth with Cam Mitchell there. But yeah, these boundary positions are where I'm like, we're not that far away from playing Lamron James. Like, we're just not. And that's why I can't put the Browns at 1 here. If one of these young corners shows up, if Cam Mitchell this shows he can play the boundary and Martin Emerson pops up, this would make me put him up higher. But the lack of depth here at the boundary is why I don't feel too strong about him.
Ace.
Yeah, I got something that I just shared here, man. I think Quincy is thinking that Cheeto is still Cheeto. This was Cheeto last year. Okay. Cheeto is not that same guy that he was after the injury. It's been a little nasty there. I got the Ravens here, right? And I think it's because if Cheeto was still that Cheeto, I think you have a good argument to say, like, yeah, I'm taking them over the Browns 3. The fact that you don't know that Cheeto is that guy right now, and the fact that Tennessee got out of that contract so quick should tell you a lot from that perspective, right? This was his former coach and stuff like that. He really got killed a lot last year from that perspective. So I think when Jared is saying that there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting, I think people are assuming, oh, this is going to allow Marlowe to play in the slot, not if Cheeto is getting cooked. And I think that's the issue from that perspective. I do like the Baltimore room, though, however. I do think that they have 3 really good corners. I just tend to like Marlon. And what's your other corner, the guy that you drafted that you're high on, Sonny?
Nate Wiggins.
Nate Wiggins. Yeah, I like Nate Wiggins as well. I think, though, that like when Quincy brings up depth is an important kind of position in the cornerback room, right? Soft tissue injuries happen all the time. Yeah. They're going against wide receivers. You get banged up. Denzel Ward is in and out of lineups. Like, we've seen that before. But Baltimore has the same issue, right? Like, their injury from TJ Tampa or Bilal Cohn being out there, right? They lost Brandon Stevens, who was really solid for them last year. They don't have the depth either. Coney. Okay, yeah.
Future UFL Defensive Player of the Year, Bilal Coney. Good for him.
He will be a cheese Coney to Jamar Chase. You do not want to see him on the field.
Nakua's brother's name, Jared. Okay,
terribly sorry.
Nakua is a national treasure. Okay?
So for right now, I just trust, and I get that.
Bilal Coney is crazy.
That Cleveland's secondary was up and down last year, but I still trust them. And that's why I've got to have the Ravens here.
So this is what I will say.
TJ Tampa sounds like a rapper name that got like 1 hit. You know what I mean? Like,
and the 1 hit's featuring somebody really random like Flo Rida.
I have the Browns at 2. The reason for me are
I'm
the Browns.
Shocked.
No. I have been having the Ravens lower, but my reasoning is called Martin Emerson. Because Martin Emerson was not great. And then you put on top of that Greg Newsome is inconsistent. Then you just have one great corner, right? Sorry to Ward. One great corner, and that's a Ward.
The only Jamar Chase stopper in the division.
Yeah, but then you get Higgins on the other side cooking, right? That's the thing.
Look, say what you want about the Browns. It's never happened to us in the way that it has happened to y'all.
Oh, Jamar Chase loves playing against Baltimore. I'm not disagreeing.
You know who did get us though? The white dude, Steve Irwin or whatever the fuck his name.
Trent Irwin.
You think that Crocodile Hunter on the?
It kind of look like Steve Irwin. That's what's crazy.
I'm like, this is the one day the Bengals wide receivers straight up destroy us. It's like with Steve Irwin and Zach Taylor cousin out there, and I'm just sitting here like, what is this, dog? T. Higgins ain't even played.
No, he doesn't. Trenton Irwin looks like Adam Cole, and now he's in Jacksonville, which is even funnier because Adam Cole works for Tony Khan. Wrestling, yes.
Anyway, I actually think if Mark Emerson comes to 2 years ago, Martin Emerson, they have one of the nastiest corner rooms in the league, right? With those two. Greg Newsome is an up and down guy. We talk about Greg Newsome was on the trading block not that long ago. I think he is, when he's on his game, he's really good. But he's inconsistent. That's the thing with Newsome.
The there used to be an archetype of this, but like he is firmly in that. You remember Dominique Rodgers, Cromartie?
I do.
Where it's like, not bad, but dog, can you hold up just a little bit more. Like, you always just want him to be better. He's just in that perfect place of like he's good enough to be out there and to be justified being out there, and he makes plays. But it's like, dog, you're just bad enough for everybody to like hate. Like it's right. It's like the Dan Moore zone, right? Where it's like, Dan Moore can start, but you're gonna hate it. Like, that's the Greg Newsome experience if he had to play boundary corner for the Browns for 17 games. Where it's like, he's gonna not be liability. You're not gonna bench him.
He's not an Eli Apple territory where it's like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah, it's not cooked cheese out there, right? Like, that's why, like, when Jamar Chase goes out of his way to be like, no, I respect Martin Emerson, I respect Denzel Ward, but Greg Newsome? No, absolutely not. We're not gonna let you talk like this, that's kind of that special place that he occupies. And yeah, it's just tough. It's just tough for Greg because he's just not good enough to talk as much shit as he does, right? It's kind of like Cam Taylor-Britt. It's like, but he's not your best corner, so it's like, okay.
Ravens Nation here says Elliott showed Jair Baltimore. Go get him a snowball. By the way, the Ravens have been linked to try to trade for him in the past, so we'll see.
How old is Jair Alexander?
28 under 30.
Out.
That's what I said. I'm like, he's not 30. They only test 30-year-olds over here.
Him and Lamar boys.
Okay, well, when his boy gets to 33 years old, then he might be on the team. What do you mean? Like,
might be on the radar.
Boys with Antonio Brown every year. Antonio Brown's going to be on the Ravens. It didn't happen.
Yes,
like,
yeah, but
Hollywood Brown, he going to come back in what, 3 years? When he turn 33?
Soon enough.
He going to spend out the rest of his 20s on the Kansas City Chiefs, and then he going to show up in Baltimore again, get that farewell tour.
Yes, sir.
Jared, did you talk about why you think the Browns are number one?
Yeah, I think I'm banking on a Martin Emerson bounce back because in 2023, I mean, he had a really nice year specifically against the Jaguars where he picked off Trevor Lawrence a few times, had a really nice game there. And it just in general, his coverage was a lot better. Had a down year this year. They moved around Greg Newsome a little bit last year where he played a lot on the boundary and a lot in the slot. So we'll see what they decide to do in terms of the just pure alignment there. But I do think both of them will be better than what they were a year ago. And Denzel Ward is the top boundary guy in the division. So I think overall, just top three starters, if they reach there or even get close to reaching the full potential, I think that's the best cornerback room in the division.
Noah Stone here says, wait, Pittsburgh has cornerbacks? They didn't notice them versus Tom.
That's because it was goddamn Antoine Blake. He wasn't good.
Cortez Allen. I remember that name.
Cortez Allen, yeah.
Hated Cortez. I walked in one day and my roommate was just looking at his phone. He's a Steeler fan. And he just screams out, Cortez Allen is ass. And then just lays in his bed for like the next 30 minutes. And I'm like, what happened? They just re-signed Cortez Allen.
I'll say this about Antoine Blake. He wasn't the best cornerback, but man, he was drippy. He looked good on the field. Had like the old running back robot face mask with a visor, yellow arm sleeve number 41 that looked really crisp with the Nike uniforms.
It looked great when Tom was just needling that boy past the right. Like it just looked super ornery.
Yes. Yeah. Who else would have been Ike Taylor was good for a while. Bryant McFadden, William Gay. Yeah.
Nova Stone, I would say this, man. Like you're really not appreciating the Steelers cornerback situation at that time because would you really appreciate them highlights and them DBs weren't there? You know, if he was just throwing open to wide open guys, it wouldn't be a highlight. It'd just be a fuck up, right? But you know, the Steeler DB being like, that's what makes it a great time. Highlight.
Really upsets me the 1 year they beat the Patriots in the regular season. They didn't make the playoffs, so it was all for nothing.
Yeah, it's like you had all that hope. Like, oh, we got him this year. And then the rug gets pulled from you completely.
Yeah, not great.
So, Q, who's your number one?
Oh, I got Baltimore here at number one. I don't feel great about this decision after hearing everybody else talk, but I'm going to still stand on it. I like Nate Wiggins. I think Marlon Humphrey in the slot, that makes a lot of sense for where he's at in his career. Worst swag of all time, though, Marlon Humphrey. Like awful atrocious.
His teammates say that too.
Gross swag. Like this shit looks awful. He has the 2002 starter pack on. Like it looks like Madden on Nintendo 64 every time I fucking watch him play. I absolutely hate it. Atrocious swag. But you can.
Wait, what's wrong? What did I miss something? What's wrong with
he
Marlon
wears the
Humphrey?
double Lucy's, right? Like the double.
He does the double Lucy's now.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
You talking about the math guard? That's Wiggins.
No, Marlon Humphreys. Like I remember,
He's got the long arm sleeves. I don't recall.
Yeah,
seeing that.
he switched to the long arm sleeves.
Oh God, yeah, he did. This is awful. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, the double Lucy's. The swag is terrible. It look like
They're not even
you know when
skin
your
tight,
kid
they're
plays Pee Wee and they just get a jersey.
Oh God, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, it don't look fitted or nothing. Like he bought that shit off the rack and wore it. It's awful. It don't even like usually you get the curve to the sleeve to make it look nicer. No, that shit goes straight down. Like look like he put pillows inside of his jersey and made it look like shoulder pads. It's god awful. It's
John
terrible.
Abraham used to do that too, where it was just super duper long and it was bad.
Yeah, I'm like, I hope somebody grabs the sleeve and doesn't get called for the OPI. Like it's
not John Abraham, Jonathan Abram.
Yeah.
Two very similar names.
I think Garrett Wilson's also another guy who
Yeah,
wears
he's a double longy. Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford did it for the long. He was like the originator of it, and it looked horrible.
Well, the thing is, it looked like he was just kissing like Aaron Rodgers' ass because he didn't wear the double loosies before Aaron Rodgers decided he wanted to go double loose, which Aaron Rodgers wasn't always a double loose.
Aaron's are double loose, but they're not super duper long. They have like a little bit of the curve at the end.
Well, no, Aaron used to wear the double tights, like the double, like it's loose, but it's still curved. But then he switched to the double loosies in New York. And then that's when Garrett switched to double loose. And I'm like, this looks shameless.
It's not good.
It looks like a shameless attempt for you to get the ball, Garrett. But yeah, the swag is terrible, but the player's still good. Look, man, I'm just going to give Cheeto the benefit of the doubt simply because he's old and it's Baltimore. Like, it's worked out before. And I know I'm giving Pittsburgh a similar benefit of the doubt because, like, do I really believe in Darius Slay anymore? No, it's his third team, but Mike Tomlin will be getting that bullshit to last a little bit longer than it really should. So
it's like when you find a few fries at the bottom of the McDonald's bag, you're like, oh shit, that's cool. Yeah.
Now, did the Ravens have tried this out before? It's actually ended pretty bad the last few times they have, right? Where they get like an old cook. Then they what was the guy they got last year from the
Tre'Davious White?
Tre'Davious was decent.
Tre'Davious was fine actually,
but the one that was very bad was Eddie Jackson.
Right? Remember Rocky Sin was like
Rocky Sin, yeah.
He played
Rocky
like a game.
was garbage.
A game.
Yeah, he was garbage.
Then T. Higgins baptized him.
That's nasty.
Hey, y'all got the worst luck. By the way, Cheeto's gonna get killed against the Bengals. Like, I don't care what he do the rest of the season. He could be Cheeto. Yeah, it's gonna be Burt Cheetos when he goes up against Cincinnati. They gonna go at his shit. But yeah, look, I don't feel great about it, but I'm gonna stand on. I'm gonna keep Baltimore here at 1. You know.
Noah Stern, another super chat. Appreciate you, man. Tom won his 6th Super Bowl when the Steelers beat him in.
This is factual. That did happen. That did indeed happen.
Oh, so you guys are the reason for the double magic extending?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but because like the first drive of that game, Chris Hogan had a touchdown, and there wasn't anybody in the 412 area code when Tom threw it to him. Like he was midfield, nobody within 30 yards of him. I was like, all right, it's just going to be another one of these games. And then they pulled a win out of their ass and then still missed the playoffs. It was so annoying.
Hey, but at least you didn't get to lose to him again, because let's be real, you probably weren't beating them in the playoffs that year.
Probably not, but it would have been nice to you start off 7-2-1. You think your team will get in the playoffs, but that's the Mike Tomlin way.
That year, was it New England or was it Kansas City? Was it Kansas City was the 1 seed that year?
Yeah, it would have been Kansas City because the Patriots had to go to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, you just been baptized by Pat Mahomes. I actually think you dodged a bullet.
Hey, who do you have number 1?
Yeah, for me, there's a weird delay. At least I'm seeing it on my camera. But for number 1, I have the Browns. Just because you know what you're getting with the Browns. I think those top 3 corners, if MJ Emerson or Martin Emerson bounces back, I think you're good. Like Greg Newsome, as a cornerback 3, that's a really good problem to have, right? Like he could actually be a starter, I think, in this league on certain teams at CB2. And then you got Denzel Ward, who we already know about Denzel Ward. As Q has put out here, he's a shutdown corner. People know that within the division. Obviously, you could say the same about Marlon Humphrey. But I think I just trust those 3 guys a lot more than I do the Ravens as it stands right now. Now, Cheeto could have a bounce back season as well, and I think it would make it very close. However, that's just anytime that I play Cleveland, especially with having these 3 receivers, they are one of the only teams in the league that has 3 quality corners that I know can interrupt and disrupt T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. And now we're going to have Jermaine Burton, pick who you want to put there. But they are the only team that constantly gives us issues from that position and is able to slow us down. The Ravens, we've had situations where, yes, Marlon Humphrey has been there, but Jamar Chase has had plenty of games where he's gone off on the Ravens. And it just seems like it's harder for us to have those explosive type games from our wide receivers against the Browns. It doesn't matter how many games the Browns have won that season. Doesn't matter where they are at. Whenever we play them, it is always that. So for that reason, I have to go with them. And Martin Emerson, the other thing about him is with him being 6'2", that allows him to match up with T. Higgins. Him being that taller corner, that is something that gives T. Higgins issues.
Of like play styles there too.
Yeah, you got a lot of versatility from a body size standpoint too that you can play and mess with over there. So I'm just getting the slight nod to them. I think it is close, so I don't want people to think I don't think it's close between the Browns and the Ravens. I think it is close.
I do.
I'm just gonna go with
Baltimore.
The Browns on that one.
I would just like to point out that I was one of the people who put Baltimore at 1, and I'm still getting like anger mail from Raven fans in the chat. Like it's still happening.
I can't. It can't be from the Ravens. Anyway,
it's Mr. Double Dick here, right? Willie Johnson. Yeah,
Mr. Double.
It's both his names are euphemisms for.
I have the Ravens at first here. And
You from the top rope.
Oh yeah, I used to be in them lunch tables, boy. You don't want it.
Good.
Okay, well, you need to chill, man. You need to chill. Okay, so what I was gonna say, which I kind of lost my train of thought here, but I do think Cheeto will be decent for us, but he will also be on a short leash. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens go and get a guy like Jair Alexander for like a 1-year deal. If he's like, the thing with Jair Alexander, by the way, is injuries, right? Injuries had derailed his career. If he thinks he can have a good year and then go get paid somewhere else, but right now we don't have it. So if you see what Baltimore has been doing in the last couple of years, and this happened maybe 4 or 5 years ago when we lost basically all our corners to injury. We were starting people, they were coming at a UPS truck. Like we were just grabbing people from I remember I forgot the guy's name. The Q saw him and he's like, we just cut that guy. He was so bad, and he was starting for us that day. Like I forgot the name. He had dreads. Anyway, can't remember his name. But
remember, he was a special team. He was, yeah. And you guys were playing like dudes who I saw in the San Antonio Bombers like the next spring.
It was bad. And so after that, what the Ravens have been doing is always have a lot of corners. Now, what they have is a lot of young corners. TJ Tempest, second-year corner. I think
what's up with speaking of young corners not working out, so how's Jalen Armour Davis doing? How's he doing? Pretty good.
Jalen,
how's he doing?
You want to know?
Caillou Kelly Blue, what happened to him? Where's he at?
Caillou Kelly. Oh my goodness.
Caillou Kelly Blue didn't make the team.
Caillou Blue Kelly was kicking ass. Oh God.
I actually liked him out of college, but you know what?
I totally forgot he was a Raven.
Well, no, we drafted him with the 6 or 7 pick, and he didn't make the roster. We caught him right there that year.
Caillou Kelly Blue.
And then Armour Davis, what they're doing with him right now is, which I think Armour Davis is gonna get cut. Like all reality, I think he's getting cut this year. He former 6th round pick, I think it was, or 5th round pick at Alabama. They're trying him a safety. that usually knows what that means.
Oh, yeah.
So
Get ready to learn UFL, buddy. Get ready to learn UFL, buddy.
Get ready to learn DC defenders.
Let's see what he could do at corner from safety. Like, you know, but yeah, once you're not 35 and like a 10-year vet.
I was gonna say it's different when Rondé Barber does it. It's than when, you know, a 24-year-old like, ah, fuck it, we'll see what he can do back there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's basically, man, let's see if he can make the team.
So the Ravens drafted this year Robert Lungerbeam, corner. I like what I saw from college. If he can learn behind Marlon Humphrey, Marlon's still 28, which is kind of crazy. When I check his age, I'm like, this dude is he's been in the league for like ever, and he's not 30. Balil Coney, he was one of the last picks this year at the draft, so we'll see. I mean, I think if anything, he'll be a special team. T.A. Tampa's the guy that I would like to see how he plays, and especially in the preseason, his second year, 4th round pick. So we'll see. And then I thought Wiggins had a great rookie year. And Marlon was Marlon. The thing in the at risk that's cute. I know how Key's gonna take this comment, but whatever. If Cheeto really, the Ravens are flexible enough, if they don't sign anybody, that they could always fall back on having Q's favorite guy, Hamilton, as slot, right?
No,
Cheeto.
No, you are not allowed to.
And push Marlon.
No.
I'm not adding him to the corner. I'm just saying if Cheeto's bad. I'm saying in the season what will happen. Not I'm adding him to the room. I actually think what the Ravens have is a lot of behind the three, and Nate is young, but behind those three, they have a lot of young guys behind them, right? That I like a lot of them. Lungerby, I like a lot in T.A. Tampa, I like a lot. Coney,
While we're throwing other agendas into the mix, I would like to point out that Marlon Humphrey has had to play the slot while the Ravens have employed a certain linebacker at the position to make sure that spot of the field is covered better. I would just like to make that point official that Roquan Smith is so ass at coverage that you had to move your best boundary corner to slot. And look at the talent y'all had to have it slot in 2020.
It wasn't that though. What happened was the rearrangement that the Ravens had to do was Darius Washington. He was playing slot, but he was a safety in college, so they put him back at safety, right? So then because Williams, right?
Yes,
forgot his first name. He was being asked, so they shift him to safety. Or Darius Washington. Then they put Marlon a nickel because the biggest problem to Stevens got paid this year. But go check Stevens' problem was pass interference.
I just remember
many pass interference.
Can I switch mine? Because I just remembered y'all played Ronald Darby a couple of years ago.
He was great for us.
Ronald Darby?
With us, he was really good.
Ronald Darby.
And he got paid. That's what Cheeto's going to do. Ronald Darby for us was good, so good that he got a 2-year, $20 million from Jacksonville. He goes to Jacksonville, he's ass, and they cut him after the first year.
What happened? What happened to what was the guy that you guys got from the Chiefs? And then it was like every time it was he was either getting a pick six or
that's Marcus Peters.
Burned.
Oh, Marcus Peters. Now that
Marcus
was a different thing, though. Marcus, they was just tired of his ass, right? He wasn't old.
And then he went to the Raiders.
That was like
the
best years of the Ravens choking in the playoffs when they had Humph and Peters there. You were like, oh, how could this team lose? And they just find a way.
Yeah. Anyway, I know that jab was coming.
I look forward to it every year because the Ravens are going to look unbeatable in the regular season.
I mean,
and the more unbeatable they look, the more I'm like, man, it's going to be really intriguing to see how they fuck this up in the postseason. And that's one of my highlights, because the Browns don't give me any highlights right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to win that many games. You can't hurt me with talking about how bad they are. But I can't hurt you by saying, boy, it's going to be fun watching that collapse. Ain't it going to be, Jared? Right? We're going to be watching that shit from the couch because our teams ain't playing, but it's going to be fun.
One of my favorite hate watches was the 2019 playoffs when Mark Ingram was going up with his dumbass big eyes, going big trust, and they got whipped by the Titans. That is one of the most satisfied I've ever been watching a football game. Him coming to the podium doing bug eyes, going big trust, only for them to get their asses kicked by Tennessee and Ryan fucking Tannehill. Yeah, great. Good job.
So,
Yeah.
but Q, you did say something that I think is I think Cheeto will be like Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby for us. Go check that year. He was really good. Again, that's why he got paid by Jacksonville to be cut after the 1 year. But for us specifically, I don't know. He was 30. I know the joke. I don't know if Darby was 30 when he came here.
No,
But he was really, really good.
28.
But anyway, we'll see what Cheeto does. Like I said, our GM has PTSD with corners. So if Jair is willing to take affordable, I can see the Ravens. I'm not adding him for this ranking, but I can definitely see them adding them up. Okay. That means
It's you know what? I want to add one more thing before we leave off the topic of the Ravens. It's really become the how's Mark Andrews going to fuck up this year game. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how is he going to be involved vaguely with this fuck up? Last year, he just like was the fuck up, but usually he's just around it. Was he around when Zay fumbled that ball into the end zone? Like, you have to admit, it's fascinating watching you guys blow it. You guys are kind of like the new Falcons. Do you feel like you're the new Falcons yet?
No. But
like, hey, I want to ask everybody else in this panel. If the Ravens have a 21-point lead versus the Chiefs going into halftime, do you even like remotely take that seriously at this point?
I mean, no, but like if anybody has a lead on the Chiefs, I'm always like, all right, yeah, they'll still find a way to come back.
21-point lead on the Buffalo Bills. They don't have the same reputation of just like coming
that's his team. That's like his second team.
I know where Jared's going to land on this conversation. I'm asking Ace. 21-point lead, Baltimore up 21-0. It's the conference championship game. We buying it? I ain't buying it. I'm not even a big Josh Allen guy. I'm just like, I think Lamar's better than Josh, but like, he just gonna find a way to fuck that one up.
I mean, if it's the regular season, they'll win it. If it's playoff time,
yeah. But it's
when they don't have a lead, they haven't proven that they can kind of come back or anything like that.
Let me ask this question to Sonny. Okay. You're up 21-0 against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
In the conference championship game. You still sweating? Are you sweating harder than you were when you weren't up 21-0? Be honest.
I'm gonna be honest with you in this remark. Unless it's like less than 4 minutes to go, I'm always worried. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna front you because if you think about it, 2.5 years ago, remember what happened with Miami?
Mm-hmm.
Miami, we were winning by like 3 touchdowns with like 7 minutes to go in the game, and we lose.
This is how I know y'all to do Falcons because like I know what it's like when you go up by a lot and you get more nervous. That happened to me when the Browns played the Steelers in like 2020.
Well, hold on. I don't get more nervous when we go up, but I'm just not relaxed. And going from 14 to 21, I'm not like, oh yeah, this game is done. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. But I don't go more nervous either.
Have you guys had leads in this situation in Baltimore, or is it that you guys have been trailing and then it's hard?
We've been trailing for them
like garbage usually, right?
We've been trailing usually
because they have like some kind of thing like when they get down by 10 points, it's some kind of metric out there.
So the problem with
they
the
don't have a
Ravens
good record when they're down.
Yeah, so
10.
the problem with the Ravens has been like we're down, right? Like let's say 10 or 7, right, throughout the game. And it's like a back and forth. And then we score basically 2, or we do the play 2 tie, and that's where we fall short. Think about, say, Flowers getting fumbled on the 1 yard line. Think about Snoop Hundley with you guys on the 2-1, whatever it was, to take the lead. Then last year, Mark Andrews dropping the ball in the end zone, right? That's 3 years there. Ting. Right?
So what you're telling me is that it's not even situational. You guys just come out and play like a pack of ass in the last playoff game of the series.
When they're down by like 7, it feels like they're down by 20. When they're down by like 10, it feels like they're down by
because they're playing in these games where it's like, man, nothing we did all regular season we're doing right now.
So what I say is, I feel like, and this is for the hate that I'm gonna get from my Baltimore fan face here.
We're making Sonny relive this.
Yeah, no, but I know I'm gonna get hate in here too. What happens with the Ravens is when you're in those moments, you do think like, how are we gonna fuck this one up? Because that's what's been happening, right? Like you think about that Buffalo game. You think about the Buffalo. Let's just talk the most recent year.
Oh, yeah.
We had turnovers, right? And Buffalo is this great team, so we should have been blown out, but we kept it there. And then at the end of the game, we go ahead and what? we basically tied it. We were supposed to tie it another 2 point. It wasn't like Buffalo make this great play to stop the throw of Mark Andrews. Right? It wasn't a PB. None of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say
it was just a
Buffalo
drop.
played well that game. Yeah.
And then that's my my point is we had turnovers in that game, and we still was in that game because, to be fair, our defense in the later quarter of the season played really, really strong. Right?
So you guys are like the Cavs, where it's just like, oh man, we're not good right now for whatever reason in the playoffs.
So that's that. My thing with the Ravens is that it's like there's something definitely mentally that we need to overcome when the playoffs come. I'm not here on a front. That's what it's been in the past whatever years, 3, 4, 5 years. Anyway,
I just wanted to get to the root of you guys' playoff failures, you know.
I know you're enjoying this. I know Jared's enjoying this too.
Hey man, when's Roquan Smith gonna stop this? Like, I thought he was supposed to be the guy.
So next week we get the safeties, and then we finish with the linebackers before we go on a break. So make sure to hit the bell so you can finish up the rankings for this. By the way, Browns and Ravens are tied at 1, Steelers were 3rd, and then Bengals were 4th on the overall for us here for the CB room. So again, make sure you like, subscribe, let us know your rankings in the comment section. We would like to see it. Until next time, peace out.